Hello, Virgo. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Virgo. Man, this one really bent my mind thinking about this because I really had to put myself in this perspective. And it's deep. That death will come, mortal, finite, and fragile, and then you have why. Now, let's talk about why. Why is not about needing to have questions answered from other people. This is about you asking yourself the deeper question. Right? And think about this. How many times have you said this to yourself? Why am I doing this? Right? I can't even count how many times I've said that to myself. Why am I doing this? The thing is can you face the truth of why? So let's have an example here. So why do you want that person? Is it because you truly believe that there is a connection between the two of you that needs to be realized? Or is it because you just need this person to fill a hole in your heart, even though you know that they can't give you what you need? Right? That's some deep shit to have to face the truth behind your own motives. Why you do the things that you do. Why do you want this person? Why did you say that? Why did you make this choice? Why do you want this? Right? And then you look at that death will come. So there are two ways for me to look at that. One is that life is too short to be continuously asking yourself why, and maybe you just need to enjoy your present moments and go along for the ride, right? Now, on the other hand, life is too short to be continuously being put in situations where you don't understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. Maybe you're wasting your time on situations where you can't face the truth of your own motives. You shouldn't be in a situation where you're looking at it going, well, why am I doing this? I mean, think about that, right? Deep. It's deep, Virgo. But clearly that death will come is telling you that you need to start being more fully aware of what is going on in the present moment. And one of the other things that it talks about is you need to kill the thing that is killing you or preventing you from enjoying life. And that may be your own motives, especially if you can't answer that question of why or face the truth of why, right? But it's not a bad thing. It's about asking the deeper questions so you can move on. But man, right? Bent my mind for a minute. All right. Now, from Moonology, you pulled the new moon in Gemini. Communication is key. And let me just say that this card is kind of all over the place, which doesn't surprise me with it being Gemini. And no offense to Gemini, I love you, right? But it says, write a list of all the people you love most and see if you are prioritizing them. Are you putting those people who care about you the most in front, or are you putting them last because you're concentrating on something that you can't even understand why you want, or who you want, or why you want them, right? And then it says, time to tell someone how you feel. Don't be all in your head and not in your heart, Virgo. Someone is flirting with you, and then it says, read more books, which I thought was random. Right? But communication, there's something that needs to be said, All right. Here's your overall. The Four of Pentacles. What are you hanging on to? Or what are you trying to maintain? Right? The Four of Pentacles can show that you don't want to give anything to a situation. It can show that you're holding on too tightly because you're afraid of loss. But it can also show somebody who is just trying to maintain things the way that they are. Right? So we'll see here. Oh, wow. In the past, death. So for some of you in the past, you had a major change happen in your life. Something came to an end. But, again, right, death is meant to get rid of the things that are no longer serving us so that we can change, transform, right? Death and transformation. But you may have experienced a death in your life, right? We can't go back to the way things were. Things are changing forever here moving forward. And it's almost like With the Four of Pentacles, I mean, straight up, you could be saying that you're clinging on to something that is definitely over with. Or this major event happened and now you're just trying to maintain right now. Damn, man. Okay. Wow, Virgo. So clearly there is some emotional pain over what has been lost or what has changed. Now, for some of you, I mean, yeah, and the thing is when we talk about when you experience a death where you've actually lost somebody, right? The thing is that tarot for me does not predict it. So this would be something that you've already experienced and you're still kind of focused on, which can be the case with the Five of Cups being there. And I'm just saying, right? But normally I don't see it that way. I see it as something major in your life has come to an end where you can no longer be the person that you used to be. You're going to be forced to go through a major change that is supposed to uplift you. You're supposed to rise above this, right? But unfortunately, for some of you right now, whatever it is that came to an end has put you in a place of being more focused on what has been lost and not what you still have and not what is still there for you to work with. Instead, you're like, I'm going to cling on to what little bit I have now because, God damn it, I don't want to lose anything else. But yeah, so there may be some pain over someone that may have been lost, which can be the case for some of you. You know, but I'm hoping that, you know, you're getting over this now. Even if you're still hanging on to the pain that you've experienced, fine. As long as you feel like there is stability in your life. Now, this could be, though, that a situation came to an end. It has changed you indefinitely. And you may be really sad by the fact that, you know, it didn't exactly bring you to a place of fulfillment. Wow, man. Oh, yeah, damn, Virgo. And, you know, again, right, like, general message, it's only going to be for some of you looking at the Ten of Swords, right? If you continue to cling on to something that you know is over with, you can't change it, you need to change, you're going to experience more pain, or you're going to be more focused on how things are ending in a really bad way. Now, you know, it could be, though, that you're trying to get past this. You know, this is really hitting rock bottom and not realizing that this is something that you need to release or let go of. You know, but I'm really looking at that Four of Pentacles like, man, I'm just trying to maintain right now. You know, I can't deal with any more changes, right? But if you continue to stay in this place, are you going to experience another difficult ending because you're unable to let go of something? Or are you just going to be continuously focused on the fact that, you know, we're kind of like at rock bottom and not realizing that what has happened to you is meant to change you in a better way, right? But it's like you can't see past that. You know, and for some of you, it may be that you've been holding on a little bit too tightly to a situation that you know is not ever going to go back to what it used to be. It's definitely over with. You're not happy about it. But it may be that, you know, I need to be done with this. It may really suck and it may hurt me, but I need to be done with this. So this may be you creating this ending because you keep holding on to something that isn't bringing you any happiness. Wow. Oh, your best path to follow, the Four of Cups. This, I think, is more of like a warning to you about, you know, if you're wanting to have stability and feel like, you know, you're okay and that you're safe, you can't stay in this place of, you know, being hurt. Like, you can't stay wrapped up in the emotional devastation of what you experienced. The Four of Cups is talking about being numb, emotionally lethargic, apathy. Just everything that comes in front of you now is like, meh, it's just not good enough. Because you're so focused on the fact that, you know, you didn't get fulfillment from a situation that it has to be over with. Like, it has to be over with. It had to be. You know, it had to die. It had to go away. Right? But it doesn't lessen the emotional pain from it. but you make it worse by hanging on more tightly, right? So if death wasn't hard enough to deal with, then you move into this place of the Ten of Swords where it's like, okay, we're going to experience the pain all over again. But I would be careful about where you are emotionally right now, because you may be missing good things in your life because instead you're focused on the fulfillment that you didn't get, right? All you see is what's been drained or what's been lost. And it's almost like nothing new can be gained. But for like I said, for a lot of you, it could be because you're clinging onto something that you need to let go of. Yeah, in the environment, the star. Listen, Virgo, right? This is happening so that you can heal. Now, for some of you, you may not be ready yet. You may need to hit this breaking point or this rock bottom before you can start to feel like things are getting better. But the good news is that there is healing in your environment. It's just that, you have to look up. You have to look up and you have to see it. You have to see that, that can happen for you, that things can get better, that you can heal from this, that you can heal yourself. It's almost like looking at death like, and it makes sense though, right? Because it's death, right? When we look at that and it shows up in our life, we look at it like, what? I didn't want this. I didn't want this to be over. I didn't want this to happen. Go away, right? But like I always say, when death comes in, it's happening. You're either going to go kicking and screaming or you're going to allow the change to happen. But what death is trying to do is create a better situation for you in a really big way with the star. Wow, man, Virgo, the hell? Your hopes and your fears, the Two of Pentacles. So now this may be a situation that, there's nothing that you can do to change. It may have put you in a financial situation though too, where you're needing to keep yourself in check or keep your finances in balance. You may be trying to figure out, how am I going to maintain things on a financial level. But the Two of Pentacles is saying that you're in this place of like trying to figure things out, right? Like you're still in a place of like trying to keep things in balance, wanting to keep stability, right? But the fear there would be that you drop the ball, so to speak, and everything just goes to hell, But the thing is if you keep doing this, are you maintaining the hurt emotions or are you trying to get this balance in order for there to be healing? So I'm looking at that Ten of Swords going, Now, for some of you, it could be that you're hoping that you can just keep things going, I'm getting the feeling that for the Virgos that are dealing with this, you're just trying to hang in there. Whether this is about the loss of somebody that you loved, whether it's about a relationship that came to an end, or if it's about a situation having to do with money that is definitely over with, whatever the case may be. The thing is that you're in a place emotionally where anything good that comes in front of you, you're not ever going to see it as something that could make you happy. Because that one thing, right? And then for you though, it's all this stuff that's been lost because of this one thing that came to an end. But then the two, right? There's still the two. And then with the Two of Pentacles, we're also talking about, you needing to make a choice on what it is that you continuously keep in balance in your life, right? Do you need to do that to yourself? Or is it something that, you need to put aside now, right? And then I go back to that death will come, life is too short, Oh man, Virgo, wow. And then Judgment. Now, this is about making peace with the past, though. So this could be, though, that you're looking at the Ten of Swords as, yeah, this is really difficult and painful, but maybe now it's time for me to get up, right? I just need to grab what I have right now, and I need to hang on to this for a minute and try to maintain what stability I have. But with Judgment, this is, first of all, the huge wake-up call, but it's about assessing and reviewing what you have experienced and looking at it from a place where you can make peace with it and you can move forward. Now, if you are dealing with another person, things aren't quite over with for you yet, but I think that you're going to get to this place where, you're going to be able to make peace with it, because you're going to have to. Now, with the Five of Pentacles, right, we could definitely be talking about, again, the financial issue, right? Having a huge loss that was sorry guys, like a financial blow to you, right? And again, financially, you're just trying to maintain with the Four of Pentacles. Now, this could be about a situation where you were rejected, cast out, somebody that didn't want you to be a part of their life, right? You don't know what's going on. You're being left empty-handed. You have nothing left to give. Something very important you may feel like has been taken from you, especially with death being there. And then with the Five of Cups and the Star, right? Now, this may be the only way for you to make peace with what has happened, is that you need to speak up. And again, communication is key. Speaking up, using your voice, and standing up for yourself with the way that you feel. Now, the thing is, though, is that communication may not lead to a new beginning or things being exactly healed within a relationship, whatever that relationship is between you and another person. Okay? But you are needing to stand up and speak up here with the Seven of Wands. You need to know how you made me feel and how drastically you have changed my life. That, I think, is what's going to start the healing process with the Star. But it's going to make you find, peace with the situation, I think, with Judgment. But the thing is that no matter what you say, this other person is not going to understand it. With the Five of Wands, communication is not being heard. They don't think that, you have a right to say what you are saying. And that may be where the Ten of Swords is coming in, where you realize, it's done, right? Like, there's no resurrecting this situation. There's no, if I just maintain right now that things will get better. No, this is something is definitely coming to an end. You're going to have to make peace with it, and you're going to have to close the door on this, right? This is something that can't be dredged back up. You are going to have to look at it and go, I'm done with this, and make peace with it so that you can move forward. But this is going to be a huge wake-up call for you in terms of, the communication that may be going on between you and another person. No matter what you say, they are never going to understand the perspective that you are coming from, especially emotionally. But the healing is there. There can be healing. And it may be that you need to realize that this situation needs to be over with, and it's like, I need to end it. It may be painful for me, but we can't continue to do this anymore, right? That's where the Judgment call is coming in. Like, it sucks, but it's got to be over with. Now, on the other hand, if again you're hitting a very difficult ending here, if death wasn't enough, right, this is going to be, okay, have you had enough now? Do you see now, right? But I think that for a lot of you, the wake-up call is going to happen when you realize that everything that you say, this person is going to be like combative against. There is no seeing eye to eye. There is no more fighting for this. All right. Soul trees. And that may be where, you're needing to kind of look at. Communication is going to be key. Yes. Needing to communicate the way that you're feeling. Absolutely. But going back to that death will come and why, I think that a lot of you knew that this situation was going to be coming to an end in a difficult way, right? But why? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why do you keep doing this? Why is this person important? And speak your truth, right? Once you understand what the truth is, then you need to speak it, right? And again, the deeper questions, why, right? When you understand the truth of why, then maybe then you can speak from a place of truth. But when you look at the sacral chakra, you're talking about creativity, pleasure, happiness. But I think that, maybe the truth is that you let your desires lead you into a place that wasn't bringing you fulfillment, which can be the case with the sacral chakra, right? But what do you really want? What is really going to bring you pleasure, But you need to understand the truth first before you can speak the truth. And that truth comes from, what is going on there with the second chakra. Is it spinning right, or are you, using it in a self-defeating way? Now, the only thing that actually blocks that, though, is guilt. And it may be guilt over the fact that you did something based on pleasure, immediate satisfaction, which can be the case, right? But like I said, when you understand the truth, then you can speak the truth. And then physical touch is important. For some of us, nothing is more important than a tender touch. This might include a pat on the back or giving a hug to someone who needs it. And I think that a lot of you are needing to start focusing on the people that love you and prioritizing them first, right? Not the people that, reject you or cast you out or make you feel like you're not a part of their life. Right? But you need to choose love for the right people in your life, choose love for yourself, and make sure that you're showing, that caring and understanding. But I also kind of look at that as you just need somebody to hold you and say everything's going to be okay.